It's been a while since I last did a video about Open Beats of Rage. Well, actually about 2 years ago to be precise. I've always intended to make a third volume of this series, and believe me, this video has been written and rewritten several times over whilst I've been exploring more and more of these incredible fan-made fighting games that I feel are definitely worthy of your attention. But now I think it's time to finally do this. So, for those of you who love the classic side-scrolling arcade brawlers, rejoice, for here are another 5 OpenBOR games that you really need to play. Let's take a look. Golden Axe returns. Those familiar with my earlier OpenBOR videos will recognise the work of Z-Victor, or Z-Victor, however you pronounce that. The developer behind fan projects such as Justice League Legacy and Marvel Infinity War, amongst many others. One of his more recent ventures was an update of the Golden Axe series, leading to an outstanding game that combined elements from various games in the franchise. Regrettably, Sega's legal team would later intervene to stop the game, much like they'd done years previously with Streets of Rage Remake. Golden Axe Returns picks up immediately after the third official game and precedes the events that occurred in the arcade exclusive Revenge of Death Adder. Positioned as the ultimate Golden Axe experience, this chapter features an extensive roster of characters, multiple levels, and a host of adversaries from earlier entries in the series. Additionally, it also introduces new locations and enemies, some of which originate from other titles outside of Golden Axe, such as Capcom's Knights of the Round, King of Dragons, or the 2 Dungeons & Dragons arcade games. Instead of reusing assets from older games as many OpenBOR projects do, Z-Victor has meticulously redrawn and reanimated everything to make all the characters in the game look authentic and cohesive. The soundtrack is appropriately grand, featuring many classic tracks from the older games that have been given a modern reworking. Every character is equipped with an extensive range of both classic and new special moves to combat their foes. Additionally, characters can choose to engage in hand-to-hand combat by sheathing their weapons, or can pick up and exchange weapons from other characters, thereby expanding their array of special moves. Weapons can also be thrown or lost. For instance, a particular enemy type has the ability to cast a rust spell that destroys your weapon, introducing a unique and varied dynamic to the gameplay. Currently, Sega are actively working on reviving the Golden Axe series, likely motivated by the success of Streets of Rage 4, and as a result of this, they issued Z-Victor with a DMCA takedown for his commendable fan-made title, which is a real shame and an example of how petty Sega still are with their properties. You would have thought that considering Sonic Mania and Streets of Rage 4 were made by fans of the original games, that they would be more welcoming to the fan-made game community, but alas, it turns out they haven't learnt anything. Fortunately, I was able to download it before the cease and desist order took effect. Whilst I appreciate Sega's need to protect their intellectual property, it's frustrating when they take such actions, especially considering that the last official release in the series was the poorly received Golden Axe Beast Rider from 2008. For dedicated Golden Axe fans eager for a new adventure, if you manage to download the game before its removal, you're in for a delightful experience that pays homage to what made the original series so remarkable. Rage of the Streets. As I previously noted in my initial video on OpenBOR, the Beats of Rage engine draws its inspiration from, and is named after, the Streets of Rage series. Therefore, it's not surprising that numerous Streets of Rage fan games have been developed using OpenBOR. In my first video, I mentioned Streets of Rage 2X, which is possibly still the finest example of a fan-made Streets of Rage game created with OpenBOR, and the maker of that is continuing to develop that further with Streets of Rage Rage X, which might end up getting covered in a future installment on this channel. This time, however, I want to focus on one of the earliest games, one of the first games created on the OpenBOR engine that is a Streets of Rage homage, and this is it, Rage of the Streets, regarded to be the grandfather of all OpenBOR Streets of Rage titles, providing many elements and mods that would serve as a foundation for future fan game projects. Rage of the Streets introduces an array of new stages created with entirely fresh assets, in addition to some elements borrowed from existing games. For example, after battling through an initial street level, reminiscent of earlier Streets of Rage titles, the protagonists enter a bar area modelled after Jack's stage from the first Art of Fighting game, and later on they find themselves in a VIP lounge adorned with elegant dining chairs and a grand piano at its centre, resembling King's stage, also from Art of Fighting. Other levels will guide our heroes through docks, boats, bridges, beaches, underground fighting arenas, and of course the quintessential elevator stage that every Streets of Rage game must include. Rage of the Streets includes a storyline where heroes interrogate defeated bosses about their friend Adam, who has been kidnapped by the Syndicate, similar to Streets of Rage 2. There's also a reference to Streets of Rage 3 where Axel, after defeating robotic clones of Blaze, remarks, "I can't believe they're still making these things." Rage of the Streets was the inaugural Streets of Rage fan game developed using the OpenBOR engine, and future fan-made OpenBOR Streets of Rage games would become more vibrant, more expansive, more ambitious, and sometimes quite whimsical, often featuring characters from other well-known franchises like Street Fighter, Final Fight, and even RoboCop. Yes, really. I may discuss some of these more eccentric Streets of Rage fan games in a future video. However, Rage of the Streets holds the distinction of being the first, and for many enthusiasts, this game was Streets of Rage 4 for a considerable period of time. Night Slashers X. The original Night Slashers, a somewhat obscure yet well-liked arcade game from Data East, was first released in the 1990s. This game is essentially a survival horror scrolling beat-em-up where players combat hordes of undead creatures such as zombies, vampires, werewolves and other nightmarish foes. Recently the series saw a revival with a remake version, but despite adding an extra character and enabling support for up to 4 players simultaneously, the game received criticism due to its revamped graphics, replacing that wonderful original pixel art with visuals that many felt resembled a poorly designed mobile phone game. And unfortunately there was no option to switch to the retro look either. Had we had an option to switch between a new look and the old look, I feel it would have been better received. But fortunately for fans, Night Slashers received a more positively received update, although unofficially, through the OpenBOR engine. Night Slashers X, along with its variants, Night Slashers X Rebalanced and Night Slashers X Advanced, bring numerous enhancements and additions to the original game. This includes an upgraded combat system, additional weapons, and numerous new characters. The 3 original characters remain, but now players can also select from a roster of new characters sourced from other games that may be familiar. For example, Oscar from the Super Nintendo version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters and Victor Ortega from the Saturday Night Slam Master series are included. Additionally, Ash Williams from the Evil Dead series is available as a playable character in one version of the game. Up to 4 players can participate together in local co-op. You have the ability to block, counter, and dodge attacks. Additionally, you can also access a special moves list at any time, which is quite useful given the variety of special moves available to your characters. Mastering both the offensive and defensive techniques is essential, since the bosses in this game are extremely tough and will provide a significant challenge. For those who enjoy their beat-em-ups with a touch of bloody horror and more intense action, Night Slashers X is definitely worth checking out. Fighters History: Revenge. Much like World Hero Supreme Justice Extra, covered in a previous video, this game borrows characters from an established Neo Geo fighting game and integrates them into a side-scrolling beat-em-up. The outcome is so impressive that it feels like that this could be an official entry in the series. All 7 playable characters in this game are originals from the Fighters History franchise, each boasting a wide array of special moves. You can integrate these special moves into your combos along with regular attacks. Additionally, there is a super attack gauge available for critical strikes that deal significant damage. The game features RPG elements that allow you to level up both your character and their special moves as you progress. Defensive maneuvers such as blocking and dodging are also at your disposal, but keep in mind that your enemies will possess similar capabilities. They might even taunt you while you're down or retreat to grab health items. The AI can swiftly counter any random button bashers, and you will find some of the enemies to be surprisingly challenging and formidable. Certain bosses will have powerful special attacks to unleash upon you, causing severe damage, or they may choose to hide behind some of their minions and attack you from afar whilst you're occupied. Some of the defeated bosses will actually join you in your quest, and they are an additional 7 characters to unlock. In addition to characters from the Fighters History series, you'll also encounter fighters from other Data East and SNK games, such as Savage Reign, Aggressors of Dark Combat, 3 Count Bout, and World Heroes, amongst many others. And although the characters originate from different games, they all appear seamlessly integrated, as if they were all designed specifically for this game. The gameplay is brisk, chaotic, and highly entertaining. It's evident that a considerable amount of effort has gone into this game, and again, it's surprising to find out this isn't actually an official entry in the Fighters History series. Absolutely fantastic and well worth a go. Legend of the Double Dragon. The Double Dragon series is widely known and has had a significant impact on gaming. And this isn't the first time we've featured a Double Dragon OpenBOR title on the channel. This specific game draws heavy inspiration from Super Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo. Now, the interesting thing about that original game is that it was never actually fully completed as intended by its developers, and when it was released, it lacked a lot of the content that was initially planned. As a result, the game doesn't even have an ending. Legend of the Double Dragon builds upon what was already a great game by expanding the number of special moves, combos, juggles, and fighting styles to unprecedented levels. The game's presentation is excellent throughout, often making it feel like you're experiencing a kung fu movie. And rightly so, as the game's soundtrack includes music and sound effects borrowed directly from various 80s martial arts action movies. If that wasn't impressive enough, the game begins with an opening sequence reminiscent of a Golden Harvest production from Hong Kong. This new edition introduces enhanced story elements, significantly upgraded graphics and sound, and the inclusion of new fighting styles. These enhancements clearly demonstrate why this version surpasses the original title in every way possible. For those who enjoyed Super Double Dragon in the past and wish to experience what it really should have been like, this game is a must-play. The game still continues to receive new updates and features to this day, and the more recent version of this game is now called Ultimate Double Dragon, which includes the addition of several unexpected guest characters, such as comic book character Spawn and basketball icon Shaquille O'Neal. Yes, really. Recently, the game's creator has shifted focus to the Final Fight series, with ambitions to develop a completely new and improved version of that title as well. Currently, a demo of Fight Forever is available and comes highly recommended. If I proceed with a 4th video installment on must-play OpenBOR titles, this game might very well be featured on that. And with that in mind, we come to the end of this video. I really hope you found this 3rd exploration of OpenBOR games to be enjoyable. Like I did with parts 1 and 2, I will include links to some of these games in the video description so that you can download them and play them yourselves. However, due to obvious reasons, I won't provide a link for Golden Axe Returns. Instead, I will offer a link to Z Victor's official website, where you can explore all these other games. If you have indeed enjoyed this video and would like to see more similar content, please take a moment to leave a like and a comment. Also consider sharing this video on your social media, especially in communities focused on retro gaming, OpenBOR, Sega, SNK, Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Golden Axe, and other fighting game series. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and enable that notification bell to stay updated with new uploads. And lastly, thank you for visiting the Big Daddy D Reviews channel, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.